Okay, and then we're gonna make a big fucking clap on
A clap,
three.
right?
So I'll say when I say three, we clap. All right.
Yeah.
1, 2,
1,
3.
2. All right, that's good.
Yeah, that works. Okay. Now everything's synced up. Great. Epic.
Yes, we've done it.
Yeah. The very first steps of creating a podcast. Now it's all downhill from here.
So we're basically done, right?
Yeah, that's cut, print, sell it.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, this is the
Cut, sell.
Yeah, this is the pilot. Anyways, no, so let's really get into the meat and potatoes here about what the reasoning for this podcast, right? Because everyone's been asking, everyone's been hooting and hollering about why we need another podcast. I already have Joe Rogan. I don't need this in my life. And you're right. Your thoughts, Tom?
So we're gonna end it right now.
No. Okay. So the real reason is.
Well, personally, I think that there's.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, you were gonna say something.
I was just gonna say, I feel like there's very few podcasts where the focus is like artists, or like particularly. There's a lot that are focused around creators, but particularly like our field of art, illustration, and like maybe not safe for work illustration in particular.
Yeah, so what Tom's basically saying is we saw the cool, like, you go on Pornhub and you see everyone's doing interviews with, like, Riley Reid and, like, all those other cool porn actresses. We want to do that, but for the art community. We really want to talk to some people who make smut, and that's just because we're depraved and we don't have anything better to do with our time. So, yeah. Speaking of smut artists, we have the titular Tommy Awu on here. And
I'm titular? Is the podcast named after me?
No, it's not. It never will be. For brand,
Tommy Awu podcast.
Yeah, no, for branding reasons, there's so much slander. We don't want to get into that now. We'd rather get into the art. We don't want slander. That's the one thing. That's the one rule on this podcast. We don't talk about slander. We don't talk about YouTuber drama or whatever the kids use now. All we talk about is garbage. And speaking of garbage, I gotta fix this real quick. Hold on.
I can't believe this.
I know. I fucked up. I fucked up on the first cast. My computer fans. Those are computer fans.
I actually heard your computer fans. The Discord bot is failing.
Yeah. Okay. We'll cut that. No. So the real reason that we're all here and everyone wants to know, Tom, is how did you get so successful on nothing so far? Like, why has nothing happened yet? Why aren't you like e-celebrity yet?
If you want a real answer for why I've done well on Twitter, it's two simple reasons. The first reason I'm not doing like great. I have like 4,000 followers, but that's more than most people ever get to.
Okay,
so
bragging.
Nice.
Bragging, okay.
It's not really bragging. Half the people I know on here have more, like started lower and now have more. So I'm just like, well, but it's the reasons are A, because I draw Isabel and it's a recognizable character that people like, and B, because I got retweeted a couple of times by some, and like those alone gave me like 2,000 followers.
That is true. Some motherfucker, that's his name on Twitter, or her.
Yeah.
We still don't know who they are. The world may never know, much like Fruity Loops. But yeah, that's a fascinating thing. Is like clout chasing. We don't do that here because we're artists, so we kind of like make our own things. We're cool
fuck
like
me,
that.
I'm getting a call.
Fuck, this is the best pilot so far.
Let me mute everything for a second.
Well, Milkshake, how do you think the podcast is going? This is our studio audience, Milkshake, by the way. Have any thoughts? Any cool things you want to talk about?
Hello?
While he's on the phone with one of our fans.
Okay. Bye.
Hilarious. You didn't think what?
I'm back.
Hi, back.
I also noticed I forgot to mute my Discord. I also didn't mute my Audacity because I couldn't figure out how But I was getting a call to say dinner's done, but I'm just gonna keep doing this for now.
No, well, you have dinner.
'Cause I'm not
Just
really
go.
hungry.
Yeah, but it's gonna
Anyway.
get.
You,
Anyways.
do you think?
Yeah, so we have
that'd be funny.
we have
if I like go and fucking eat dinner and you just talk to Milkshake on the text to speech bot.
Well, not on the bot.
First episode
I would just
podcast.
This is purely a pilot. We'll figure out the flow later, and we'll also figure out a better time to record it, because right now we're recording at the crisp hour of, I guess, 6:00 now for you, which is not ideal.
Yep.
But you were too tired to record the podcast earlier, so
yeah.
And now
doing
I
it
have
on work days might not be a great. It won't be so bad in the summer when I'm done with school.
Yeah.
But on work days might not be a great idea. Maybe on like a Saturday or something during the day.
I can't do that. I work 12-hour shifts on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But you don't work on Friday, right?
No, I work on Friday. I work Monday through Friday.
God fucking damn it.
I in that case though, I can just usually I'm home from work by 2 or 3. This is a kind of a different week than usual.
Mm-hmm.
We're working a little harder than usual, so this isn't typical, and I won't usually be this tired.
We could try. We could certainly go for like shooting for the podcast on a Wednesday. I think having it in the middle of the week would be a good round out as far as like.
The reason I can't do Wednesday because that I have school on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Oh yeah, you said that.
But maybe Fridays.
Yeah.
Could you do Fridays?
Fridays for sure. That's why I said that, because then you don't have to worry about work tomorrow. That's what I figure would be an ideal situation.
Yeah,
and we could do it later in the night.
Usually pretty easy days. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that way you can get well rested. You can have your dinner, and then we could do the podcast like at like I don't know, like 6 or 7.
Milkshake has a good question. Who's our target audience?
Oh, okay. So that's a good question. That's a really good question. So speaking of clout chasing, we're back on the podcast, by the way. The reason I wanted to have this podcast on here is for clout chasing purposes, right? So,
our main goal, our end goal, is to get a Zone on the podcast, and then we'll end it. It'll be like Unus Annus.
Yeah, we'll have Markiplier on here. It won't make any sense. But, it's like one of those, scenarios where it's like, you get one. Every time you're married, you get one where it's like, who can I sleep with?
Is this going to be kind of one of those podcasts where, like, when we started, the purpose is to interview, like, a certain kind of person, and then within the first 8 episodes, we run out of people and we just start interviewing, like, other normal celebrities?
No, that's not going to happen. We're not going to interview Dwayne. We're not going to interview... B-list.
So you're saying that if you had a chance to talk to Doug Walker on this podcast, you wouldn't do it?
Well, Doug Walker's a different scenario. He makes cool furry art, right? Those 3D models that we've all seen in his wall review. He's basically our target demographic, right?
Unironically, I know this is like a joke, but unironically, if I had a choice between doing a podcast with Dwayne Johnson and Doug Walker, I would choose Doug Walker 10 times out of 10.
Well, yeah, he's more interesting.
He seems infinitely more interesting.
Who the fuck?
Dwayne Johnson would just be like, oh yeah, this weekend I went to fucking In-N-Out for the first time for the 8th time.
Also, I'd like to bring this up. Dwayne wouldn't necessarily be the worst person to have on the podcast, because isn't he like an artist? Doesn't he draw as well?
Does he?
Yeah.
I just know that, like, he's like a nice guy in real life, but like, whenever he's in any kind of appearance that is official as The Rock, he's fucking boring and corporate. Like, even when he went on Joe Rogan, he was just like, talked about his products and shit.
I can't remember which celebrity
that's like doing a podcast.
Yeah. We just had a new student, audience member join in, called Vank. They're also a titular part of the podcast. Yeah, this is what's happening right now. We're recording, the thing. Anyways,
Vank is dangerous because he can actually use soundboard and shit because he has admin permissions.
That is true. Well, Vank, much like any part of a podcast, he's our like tech guy. You know how like Spider-Man has the cool like Chinese tech guy. Vank is like our indie tech guy, because we had to outsource to the third party and we couldn't get China. So he's from India. He does soundboards. He does like cool stuff. He can do like jump cuts.
He's from India.
Yeah. That's what we all know him as, the guy from India. No, Venk's a really good artist, and maybe one of these days he'll be on our podcast for realsies. But we're not disclosing that because we gotta sign deals, we gotta dot lines, all that shit. It's just
this is already a multi-million-dollar agreement we have with Warner Brothers.
Well, no, so yeah, we were gonna do it with Warner Brothers, but then Netflix had to fucking shoehorn in and be like, "Oh, but we're indie," and I'm like, "Shut the fuck up! All it matters is money." As artists, Tom, you can agree with this. As artists, I haven't even introduced myself yet. I'm Spark, by the way.
Dude, we should have. Oh, and I'm Tommy OO.
I already introduced.
Can we have an entire episode about the saga of Ren?
Ren? Nah.
The Ballad of Ren.
We'll probably change their name. I guess that doesn't even matter because Ren's just like it's a fake
online alias anyway.
Yeah, it's already an alias, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Vank just told me in the stream chat that Ren got banned. There was another server where we were monitoring his escapades from afar on another server, and apparently he just got banned from there too.
That's not fun.
Shockingly.
Yeah. Ren's another artist we'd love to have on. This episode's basically the pilot where we say who we want on and who we don't want on, and the only person we don't want on is fucking all these liberals like Trump. We don't want political shit, right, Tom?
I was actually about to say, can we have George Bush on?
Yes,
because
about his
paintings.
He's an artist. Yeah, see, only artists, only people who draw or make anything in medium. Anything. You can make fucking murals out of cum, and we'd want to have you on because I am genuinely curious how you do that. I'm looking at you.
Basically the way it works is that I put the semen on the canvas and I put it in a dark moist room for 6 weeks. The fungus starts to grow in the shape of the imprint.
Can we get Tom back in here? I'd like to get his opinion about that.
Get the fuck out of here! Get out of here! I don't know who that man is.
No,
that was fucking on my chair.
That was our first guest. Why the fuck did you kick him? All right, well, this is a lousy start to a first podcast.
Wait, well, he snuck into my house. I didn't fucking invite him here.
No, I did.
Get him on voice channel.
No, because he doesn't have a mic. All he does is cum paintings.
No.
He's a starving artist like you and me. We could relate. We could have related, and you just kicked him off.
That's rule 1 of improv. Always say no to what the other person says.
Fucking Linguini. I love his art, and now you just have to fucking destroy him like that. Also, Linguini is a fucking alias online. Well, yeah, he did do cum paintings, and as we all know, much like period paintings, not period appropriate in this day and age, is what I'll say.
See, the way he does it is interesting. As you heard, he smears it on the page, and then where it landed, the fungus starts to grow. So it's you don't see the picture for. It's like chia pets.
Yeah.
You don't see the picture for the first 6 weeks, and then it starts to bloom.
Yeah, he does really good canvas time lapse work. You see those TikToks.
It's so foul.
It's like the reverse of cleaning a carpet because he makes the canvas into a carpet.
That's if the cum box, the cum shoebox guy. That's if he was a modern artist.
Well, he was, but yeah, continue. I love him. He's up there with the jail crystal.
Of a term.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Everyone, get out your GL crystals and goon now.
Bloom it up, yeah. But yeah, this is the podcast. This is what you can expect quality-wise. We're not gonna fucking do any of this bullshit. We don't cut anything. We don't, change.
We're just raw like that.
Yeah, we're just raw. We just like to raw dog. Speaking of raw dogs, Tom has an obsession with drawing dog characters. Isn't that interesting?
I'm drawing a dog character right now.
Yeah, elaborate. Divulge. Why the obsession?
I've told this story plenty of times. I don't know if I've ever told you. So basically, when Isabel got announced for Smash in 2018, the kind of meme at the time was, "Oh, don't lewd the cute dog, don't lewd the doggo," and I was like, well, this is a good opportunity to like kind of roll with that meme and do exactly that. So I started drawing like, you know, kind of crappy, sexy drawings of like Isabelle from Animal Crossing as a joke. But then as the months wore on, for whatever reason, this character design just stuck to me, and it became not a joke anymore, and I just ended up constantly drawing this character all the time. Like, and the way I think about art and the way I think about characters is like, I'll start by drawing them kind of similar to the way they are in their source material, like in what they came from, and then I'll just kind of drift from there, because I start applying these little head canons and concepts of like, well, wouldn't it be cute if this character was like this and did this and did this? And it's gotten to the point where the character is basically just an OC at this point. It has nothing to do with anything to do with actual Isabelle. She has like fucking big crazy spiky hair. She's tall and skinny. She has like fucking chiseled abs. She always wears all black. She has like the bottom eyelashes. It's very strange, but it's very fun to draw.
I can agree. It's very fun to watch you draw. As far as like,
thank you.
Yeah, you're a very good artist. Tom's an extremely good artist. For anyone who's not in the know, we're currently talking on our, well, not our. It's fucking Tom's Discord server, which he built from the ground up. And might I say, it's bearing fruit. It's got a lot of fruit on it.
It is.
We don't know what to do with it.
There's been a few people who. There have been a few people like that. I think that the thing I'm proud of with this server, more like, there's things I'm happy with more, like just making friends and shit. But the thing I'm proud of most probably is just there have been people who joined this server barely knowing how to draw, and now are like amazing. Partially because of the server, because they like found a community of supportive people to talk to.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many cool things. I'll say this much, Tom. This is one of the few servers that's not only extraordinarily active, but it's active in like a very coherent and like kind of like symbiotic way, where every channel has like their own little subgroups of people that are really good in that channel.
That's true. Like I've mentioned this before. I don't usually bring it up because it feels kind of weird to say, but like, even though I'm the owner of the server, I basically only use General 1. I almost never check, like, the critique channels. I almost never check, like, art discussion and gallery. So but when I do, it's like, these are completely different people that are in, like, General 1. Like, each channel has their own, like, mini kind of group going on. And I think that's cool. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. One of them that I would love to mention is it's Linus, right? Not who is it? Is it Linus? I don't know how to pronounce her name correctly. It's the one
Linus
person.
Tech Tips?
No, not fucking Linus Tech Tips. He makes amazing art as well, but we can't have him on the podcast. No, there's this one character. I'll say that much. In one of our in just this server, and specifically in like, we have like categories like to help you draw and shit, and just people like, you know, critique and stuff like that. And they're specifically in those two categories where they're so good at critiquing. They'll go on your art and like draw and highlight stuff, and then give you like a decent paragraph on like why this thing needs to be that way, or how it can be improved into specifically what you need it to like, look like.
I think their name is Lines.
Lines.
And that's why my brain was fucking frying. I was gonna be like, oh, Lines is in that channel too. Wait a minute, that's who you're talking about.
That's exactly what
like
I'm talking
Linus.
About. That's a fun fact for our new avid listeners like Milkshake. That's my dyslexia right there, as I just want to read and make things look nice, but I can't. Everyone has to have cool, wacky character names, like Skibbity. No, we're not mentioning that anymore.
Skibbity Tom.
Yeah, there's been a weird influx of that. Also, that's another artist we'd love to have on.
Nothing to do with me.
Nothing, not at all.
I'd have fucking DeFuck Boom on.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I
I
just
wouldn't
have their
mind
fucking.
that.
I'd have them as a soundboard on if they just wanted to be a soundboard. If they just wanted to be funny.
That's so stupid. They just like, we're like, oh, we have to fuck Pumon. So tell me, what gave you the inspiration? They're like, skibbity dum dum dum. Like, very interesting. I see.
Yeah, the funny part is they would be on, but they would just use the Discord fucking little mixtape thing that they have now.
Now, if we do that, it wouldn't be funny.
Yeah,
because we already made the joke.
No, it'd be funny because we'll delete this episode and we'll only have it on Patreon, and no one will go on Patreon for this episode.
We'll dox anyone who reposts it, sue them into the ground.
Much like Disney and Mickey Mouse, yes.
Shit.
That's
a fun topic. The fact that Disney is still fucking copyright claiming, like, Steamboat Willie shit.
Are they?
Despite not owning the character, yeah.
I thought that was just, like, the automation at its work.
I mean, it might be automation, but, like, it doesn't matter if it's just automation because, like, what are you going to do? Like, dispute the claim, then the automation just says fuck you and keeps the claim on, and now what? You're going to go to court? Like, no, of course not.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like, they can just send out frivolous things against people anyway.
Yeah, and it's like, it doesn't mean that it's like denial of freedom of speech either, because you're using someone else's platform to post shit. Mm-hmm. Like, the only legality that it, like, comes into play is when, like, someone who owns the IP legitimately is actively, like, going to just sue someone specifically. We've seen this a lot actually in because this is a fun topic, is a legal talk. We've seen this a lot in the early days of, like, content creation on the internet, specifically in, like, places like Newgrounds and YouTube, because, like, the problem with posting art or I guess just reusing someone else's art, and specifically that person being rich, you know, like the Garfields of the world, the Peanuts of the world, and, like, you post your epic clips, you clip together the Peanut characters doing cool shit, and then the Peanut guy is like, I'm not gonna have any of that, you can't post Charlie Brown like that, and then he sues you into the ground, and he has the right to. But the problem then becomes, like, who do you sue? Do you sue the person that allowed them to upload it and get revenue through ad space? Because then it's like, well, now the person who hosts the website is the one doing the copyright infringing because of them making money off of your work.
The thing is, like, that's technically what the purpose of the DMCA is. It's that's kind of what it's meant for, is to protect the platform so that that kind of thing can exist. Without the DMCA, YouTube would not exist. But there's other parts of the DMCA that are just so broken and anti, like, user and consumer that, like, you know, that's kind of their defense. Whenever they say, like, we should fix the DMCA, a lot of lawmakers will spit back with, well, the whole point of the DMCA is to, like, protect these platforms and keep them existing. You wouldn't even be able to upload stuff in the first place without it. And it's like, well, sure, but that doesn't mean that there aren't parts of it that are broken, that don't work right. Like, there's one Tom Scott video about that, where he's like, YouTube's copyright system isn't broken, our copyrights, the world's copyright system is broken.
Yeah, it always has been. I mean, just to, like, kind of swerve back into the original conversation of fucking Steamboat Willie, the whole reason everyone's fucking hemming and hawing, also, this is going to date the episode, the reason everyone's hemming and hawing about that, is because, like, it's been 100 years since, like, the laws that have been put into place to allow it to last for 100 years are now allowing for things to enter the public domain again. And that's really important because everyone's fucking says the same shit, but it's like, it's important because fucking Disney did the same shit with older works as well, and they didn't have to wait as long. They only had to wait, like, I think they originally, like, it was like maybe like 30 years tops
30
you could claim something.
Yeah.
And that was specifically designed because it was like, it's like half the lifespan of, like, a normal person.
Was, if you have
Yeah.
I think the point of it is, if you failed to do something with it in 30 years, it was never going to go anywhere anyway. And if you succeeded to do something with it in 30 years, you're probably wildly rich now, and that piece of content has become part of common culture. And so therefore it should just become part of culture.
Yeah.
But that's why culture sucks. And well, I don't want to say culture sucks now. A lot of good stuff comes. It's a very pessimistic way of looking at it, but a lot of culture and a lot of our common stories are just controlled by multi-billion-dollar conglomerates. And it's even created... They've kind of brainwashed people into this new way of thinking of like, well, if you can't think of anything new and you want to use these existing characters, then, you know, they deserve to be making money off it. They came up with it, and it's like... Yeah, but, like, imagine if you couldn't use, like, Zeus. Imagine if you couldn't use Perseus. It's like, these characters are part of culture. Like, at the time, like, everyone was, everyone could use those characters. It wasn't like fucking Odysseus, it's not like Homer owned Odysseus and, like, could go to people and say, hey, stop using my OC. It's like, these things were just part of culture. Everyone made their own version of it, and that's why they're so iconic to this day.
Yeah, and I to reiterate, I think the reason you think it's like it feels kind of trashier now is because when you have the ability to create content from something that someone else has made, like over like a generous period, like 30 years, it's good because then it allows people to kind of like reworkshop ideas. The problem is when you have like big conglomerates like Disney that own an IP and they own it for 100 years, well, the only people that get to rework on it are the people they deem worthy enough to work on it and to hire and pay for. And the biggest problem with that is it can tend to lead towards like a weird slippery slope where you'll love this, Tom, where they have like a weird kind of incest ideas where it's just like it just keeps on reiterating on the same values and core concepts, which can be okay, but tends to just leave the well dried up. It's just like, well, I've already done this cutesy idea for Mickey Mouse for so long. What if he was a cool serial killer? And the moment you say you get kicked out of Disney World.
Well, the fucked up thing with like Disney in particular. By the way, I want to just address this really quick. Milkshake in the chat says, to be fair, that led to everyone forgetting who Homer was, but not what the work was. When the Odyssey is brought up or mentioned, it is Homer's Odyssey. Yeah. That's what it's known as. They didn't need copyright for Homer's name to go down in legend. That's the only thing that he ever made of any consequence. We don't remember Homer's other writings. We remember the Odyssey.
I think you're thinking of Abe's Odyssey, Tom. I think you're thinking of Abe's Odyssey. That's my favorite game for the PS1.
And I don't know if Homer's Odyssey would have become the iconic piece of culture that it is today if only Homer and his buddies were allowed to like tell it around the campfire. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's another thing to be said. The people who give a shit about reusing works tend to give credit to the original works all the time.
Yeah.
The only time you don't really see that is when people are kind of like copying, like
trying to steal it.
Yeah,
because they'll do that anyway, like Finger Family videos.
Yeah, or just like ideas of like the fucking, or just something that makes them a quick buck in the end, but it won't like last a lifetime. It'll last like a year tops. Where it's like someone wants to make a fake ass fidget spinner. You know, it's like, okay, whatever.
You know why I think that Disney let the Mickey Mouse copyright lapse? This is a little bit of a conspiracy theory. Because every other time it's happened in history, in like the 50s and the 80s, they would go to Congress and lobby and be like, we should extend copyright laws for like another 10, 15 years. And they would always do it. But now, for some reason, they just let it go. I almost think that what they're going to do is let a bunch of horrible Steamboat Willie shit get made intentionally. Because obviously, that's the first thing people are going to do. Very quickly, they're going to start pumping out garbage. And the good stuff that gets made with it will kind of get shoved under the rug just because of the excitement of, oh, this character that's so like beloved is now public domain. Mm-hmm. Which before, if it was 30 years, would never have happened because it would just be normal for things to become public domain.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think that what they're going to do is wait for all this horrible, trashy content to come out about Mickey Mouse, and then they're going to go to Congress and say, look at this. Look at what they've done to a beloved American icon. And they're going to be like, we need to strengthen copyright laws even further so that this never happens again.
Maybe
That's
it could also just be the simple fact that they didn't have the right political
you
figures
cut.
in office yet. Hello.
I was just saying you cut out for a second.
Yeah,
It
but
could just be that.
it could just be that they just don't have the right political figures in office yet to allow them to extend copyright law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, that's just fucking politics, baby, and we don't
I
talk about
do
that
not
on here.
like Disney. Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about politics. We're not allowed to talk about Gamergate.
That's so old, Tom. That's so passe.
So outdated.
You sound like
We
a
have to talk
boomer.
about. You need to talk about the fappening.
That's even older. That's about the same fucking age. Those happened at like the same time. We gotta talk about cool
Did
shit
they? I
like
thought the
Me
fappening
Too.
was. I thought the fappening was way old. Okay, Me Too is a really fucking old.
That's
bit.
like 2 years ago.
That was like 5 years ago. At least.
Probably 5 years ago. We don't need to talk about that. We don't need.
That was like 2016.
Yeah, I love.
Think about that. 2016 was like 7 years ago.
Yeah,
Does
I
that
don't think
fuck with you?
No, I don't think about that kind of stuff. That's for old men to think about. You're right.
Milkshake says we should talk about Rafflecopter.
Okay, so yeah, it is art, so we could talk about Rafflecopter, ASCII art, right? That's what it is.
Can we talk about Bob? Can we talk about the Bob War on fucking YouTube?
No, I think we should have like a cool video essay that we animate, and it takes us like a year
It's
to
too
make,
far
and
back.
it's only like 5 minutes. I think
that would be a good fucking video essay about like one about Bob being like, "This is Bob. You've probably seen him before if you were part of YouTube in the early days."
Yeah, that'd be a fucking internet historian video like 5 years ago.
That was exactly what I was thinking. That would be an internet historian video like today. It would be like it would be like the fucking Area 51 one, where it's like really depicted as really insane and intense.
But it's really nothing. Speaking of insane and intense stuff on YouTube, I don't know if you've seen the fucking, because everybody knows what time period we're in right now. That's right, we're in the modern year of the 2010s. But crazy shit has been happening on YouTube. Have you seen the three fucking pillars of YouTube just like bouncing? Fucking Matt Pat's left is going to leave rather. He made a video. Is he
going somewhere, or is he just retiring?
He's just retiring, and it's like he's like at the biggest like stage of his career where it's like everything's going perfect. And then not only that, Meat Can's like, he said he was gonna be like on the back burner working on real projects, but like not making any YouTube content for a while. And then on top of that, fucking one of the titular characters we just talked about, Tom Scott, is also leaving the internet. And he posted like this big ass video with like a collage of like all of his best works. Yeah, Tom Scott. I'd say Tom Scott, but whatever.
I thought you said Tomska.
Tom Scott.
Did you say Tomska?
It's Tom Scott, right? Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the ASDF movie guy for a second.
No, never.
But yeah, like, see, I don't know what I have to watch his video in full. I don't think Tom Scott is full, true retiring. I think he's doing kind of what PewDiePie did, where it's like, he's gonna still keep making. He's probably gonna do almost exactly the same content. It's just now he's going to say he's retired because he doesn't need to do it anymore.
Yeah,
like how PewDiePie does like the same exact content as he always did. It's just now he's retired and he's just doing it for fun.
That's the insane thing about the internet stream is like if you really do make it big, like, and we're talking like the 0.01% of people, and these people have been on here for like 10 years tops. Eventually, you just accrue so many like videos and like backlogs that the ad revenue you make from that, it just kind of like compounds interest, which is like the only few times that like compounding interest does happen with shit like that. Granted, like videos will become less popular and algorithms will change and videos will get taken down, but like you can like sustainably make like a ridiculous amount of income if you stick with it like a weird passion project. It's like growing a tree, right? People think it's fucking dumb as shit to like plant a tree and just be like, well, what? I'm planting this apple tree down, and like, what? When I'm 60, I'll have apple tree. I'll have a fucking delicious apple. But like, it's like very rarely do you like get to see like the fruits of your labor in such like a short time period as like 10 years
Yeah.
tops. Like even the
The
people
sad
who
thing with YouTube,
yeah.
the sad thing with YouTube though is the fact that I think recently they rolled out a change to the algorithm that heavily disincentivizes like rewatches of old content. Like I remember a few YouTubers, maybe Let's Players in particular,
Mhm.
not Let's Players, but like streamers, game people were like, oh yeah, like a gigantic chunk of my income just disappeared because I don't really get like they changed it and now suddenly I'm not getting income off of my old videos anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened
So
recently.
like they're kind of hurting that aspect of it. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a
there was like
recent thing.
there's like a twofold thing where basically for those not in the know, it's like YouTube is now incentivizing newer content rather than older content. So if you like looked up like a Minecraft Let's Play, you wouldn't get the Yogscast anymore or like older Yogscast videos. You would get like
Hmm.
you probably get something like Dream, or you get something even like newer than Dream, or just like some random kid who's like, I'm making videos for the first time and it's only got like 7 views, which makes sense for like a medium where it's like entertainment. But I don't know if you're like me, Tom, where you use things for different stuff. I used to use YouTube as a way to learn shit, and so like the biggest component with that is like if someone's making like a new video about old tat where it's like this is how you make a miter cut or whatever, or just like something silly where it's like you're
Hmm.
trying to learn how to do an art form that's relatively older, and maybe you need like an older experience, or there was already an amazing video made and there's really no way to top it, and then you just get like
Yeah.
flooded by all these other artists that are like, I'm gonna make art by just putting a paint can on a canvas. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Let's make a time lapse. We'll add some like sparkle effects, and yeah, it's this is how you make art, guys. It's pretty fucking easy. It's like, well, I didn't really want that
It's
video,
it's
YouTube.
it's kind of weird because you don't necessarily want to put everything on the exact same playing field
Hmm.
because then you will just have the one video that becomes massive and newcomers to that field will just never be able to enter the genre. But you
True.
need to find a better balance of what YouTube is doing now, where it's just kind of like before it heavily. See, the thing is, I think they changed the monetization scheme because I
Most
don't know
likely.
about for most people, but for me, rewatching old videos wasn't because YouTube was coming out and recommending old videos. It was because I was like, I really liked this Game Grumps series from like 2012 or something, so I'm gonna
Hmm.
rewatch it 50,000 times over and over.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why Oniplay started releasing the full versions of like their things,
You know what I
or at
think?
least
Like,
why they. Well,
there's been a
yep.
few. I'll say this much: I've noticed this trend with a lot of like growing YouTube channels where they do the exact same concept, where it's like it's like this weird fucking like Frankenstein machine, right? Where it's like, okay, let's just play the scenario out. Let's say you're a big time streamer or you're just a normal ass streamer. Then what you do is
Hmm.
you make TikToks of your cool streams, and then maybe you make like 30-minute snippets of your stream so it's more digestible. And then you make like
Hmm.
and then it's like a snake eating its tail. Then what you do is you upload the entire stream that's been cut, been properly like edited or whatever, with only like the funny bits. And then it's like, and now it's just the same length as your stream, maybe a little bit more cut down. And it's like you've just like repackaged the same product like 3 or 4 times over. But the thing is, that's what the internet as a whole always incentivizes, is you posting something on all the platforms, because if you just post it on one or two, the problem isn't like this is for everyone who wants to make it big on the internet, right? This is the one thing you just need to learn is it doesn't matter where or when you post something. What matters is that you're posting it everywhere, because your biggest competition on
Hmm.
the internet is the internet. Someone could just be watching fucking porn. You have to compete against like good porn if you want someone to look at your cute cat drawing, right?
Yeah.
Like that's who your competition is if you're really trying to make it big. And this podcast isn't necessarily to like show you guys how to become billionaire artists, because that's a word that's never existed before in its life. But if you
Unless
wanted to
you're
make
friends with a billionaire.
Yeah, if you want to make money, fucking get a doctorate, learn how to cut people open, and make money doing it.
If you want to make money as an artist, become friends with a billionaire. Become an electrician so that you can get access to like rich people. Become friends with a billionaire. Say,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, I'm an artist on the side, and then just have him buy your stupid garbage for tax cuts.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, buy my shitty my shat on a canvas. You buy it. You an appraiser appraises it as like 8 times what it's worth, and then you donate it. And now you pay less tax.
That's literally how our economy works. It's because the moment you assign value to anything, that's what's happening. Interesting enough, that's what's happening with recently, or I guess not so recently, is with the retro video game collection scene where it's like,
Yeah.
Now the card community has gone into it where it's like, okay,
Oh,
now,
really?
well, yeah, because they do the same.
Because Carl Jobs
now.
fucking knocked down that entire industry, so they're like, well, we need to pivot now.
Exactly. So they're just doing the same shit. It's old hat where it's like, oh yes, this cartridge is S tier because its box has not been opened and it's sealed, and I'm like, you don't even know if the game works. Like, this is silly. It makes sense if it was like a card, right? It's like, oh, this thing can be like fucking laminated or whatever. It can be put in a little safety case, and you get to see it, and like it looks cool and shiny, and there's art. But with a game, it's like the point of the game is to have fun and play it.
Well, I mean, the point of the game for a lot of people is to put it on a shelf and be like, that's so cool that I own this really old rare game.
Mm-hmm.
I think game rating like that does make sense on its own. If you watch that Carl Jobs video, it wasn't about the game rating market in general. It was about like particular companies that were trying to manipulate it and pump up the values to be like, this Mario 64 is $1.8 million. And it's like, no, it's not. It's like,
everyone had Mario
64. $500.
Yeah. Everyone's
and it's like, that's still expensive for like this really good quality like product, but it's not what you're trying to sell it as, because you don't care about the product, you care about creating a bubble.
Yeah. And that's what art is. Art is a bubble, and it's gonna pop, Tom. And when it does, you're gonna go falling and crashing down, and I'm gonna laugh. It's a bubble
that's been going since the dawn of mankind.
Yeah, ever since those little cute cave paintings. That, by the way, this is a little fun fact for everyone. Did you know that Neanderthals were actually the first cave painters? Not the other.
Were they the first? I know that they did cave paintings, but is there any evidence that they were the first?
Yeah, it's believed that Neanderthals predated the other kind of offshoots of humans, and they found in like an old ass fucking lime cave that they were doing like drawings and shit before like anyone else. So if anything, everyone else is just copying off of them, and you guys have all stolen art. So you should really think about that.
They're gonna fucking copyright claim us.
Yeah, I can't wait for UGG to copyright me. Damn.
Well, at least
his 3
He patented it. He patented the idea of 2-dimensional images on a flat surface.
Yeah, that's where the Rosetta Stone comes from, Tom. That's just copyright claiming everything, so that his 3 generations down can have Wolverine meat, and everything just works. That's how it works.
Milkshake's talking about Bigfoot in the chat. There's also supposedly a giant fucking ape creature in the prehistoric times.
Well, yeah. So
that's Nephilim. That's the They're the offspring of the angels of God that mated with humans when they were cast down from heaven.
I just think they're God, but I guess that's a cool interpretation. No, so yeah, Milkshake does bring up a good point. We are going to West Virginia. We're gonna hunt down Mothman, and we're gonna hunt down, Sasquatch if he's there. I doubt it. But definitely Mothman.
Dude, what if there was a Mothman versus Sasquatch movie?
It would be it would kick ass, because here's the thing, right? Mothman can fly, but he probably has hollow bones because he can fly. So he's weaker, and much weaker than a Sasquatch.
It's like King Kong versus
Mothra.
It's like King Kong versus Mothra.
Yeah, I love Mothra. That nobody draws Mothra enough. I love Mothra. But what I was gonna
I want to see Bigfoot and Mothman doing that like anime thing where they're both throwing punches at the exact same speed, so they're all just deflecting off each other.
But then you go to like down to the perspective of a human. It's like they're moving really slow because that's exactly how it would look like. It's like, why are they just playing patty cake? It'd be cute.
I want to see Bigfoot dressed up as Morpheus.
Yeah. Well, what pill would you take from them? Which one? Would you take the blue one or the red one? Well, you can't do that. That's cheating.
I always like the idea of in the Matrix, like, he goes to fucking Morpheus, and he's like, red pill or blue pill? He really frantically grabs both pills, shoves them in his mouth. Morpheus like, no, you can't do it! Oh, God!
And then
Neo just explodes.
He opens his mouth up like a dog. He's like, spit it out, spit it out. He's like reaching in. Like he's just treating him like a silly little dog. He bats him with a newspaper. You can't eat both of them, Tom. They're like gummy vitamins.
What if he refused to eat either?
Wouldn't that just...
Cross his arms.
Wouldn't that just be like he's in the Matrix permanently? Right? Because they're not real pills. That's the thing. Tom, they're not real. It's all metaphors.
Yeah, but if he just sits there and crosses his arms and says, I'm not making a choice. Like, but you have to.
It would be... that would be the best movie ever. That'd be the best 2-minute movie ever.
Yeah, it's like Far Cry 4.
Yeah.
He just waits and like he gets like an alternate ending where like the fucking agent walks in and he's like, come with me.
You love those. You love those 2-minute endings. Those that aren't in the know, animators such as me and Tom. Tom kind of animates, not really. We love our 2-minute. We love our 2-minute segments because it's like easy to animate. I don't think I've animated anything more than 2 minutes.
I've never animated anything more than like 30 seconds.
Right, so
10 seconds, really.
Just gotta make a collage of everything, and then it's technically counts.
That's true. like I could do... that's something I have been planning on doing because it's a very easy way to ease into doing it. Mm-hmm. But like, just making like, say, a sex scene that's just like 3 different 2-second loops.
Yep.
And then just string them all together into a story.
It is ideal. Yeah, it's ideal if you're anyone trying to get into the animation scene. There's a lot of cool tools out there, but at the end of the day, you really need to learn to like make shit that you know you can make. And it takes a long time to be like, I can animate a solid 24 frames in a day, and they look good, and I don't have to like change them up or like redo some bullshit. That takes a long time to do. Like it took me about a year to be confident in like drawing 24 frames within a week. And you're like, you think to yourself like, oh, that's nothing. That's just 24. That's just 24 frames. What does that mean? It means you're drawing 24 pictures that coincide with each other that flow really well. It's way easier to just draw 24 different like rambles and shapes and characters or whatever. Even if you want to practice like hands and stuff. It's a dream to just draw 24 hands in a day. It's a lot harder to kind of like tell a story with moving pictures that look good. There's not like stickman drawings. You could do that. You could draw stickman. That's a solid way to learn how to animate because you learn how to do motion a lot better. So yeah, just do stickman drawings that are like 24 frames, and you'll be good.
I always tell people that like the bouncing ball animation is kind of like it's like the fundamental building block of that kind of frame by frame animation. It's kind of like the equivalent of a construction like head, because it just like doing bouncing ball animations, and then especially doing bouncing ball animations and getting really unhinged with them.
Yeah,
as in like, oh, it's bouncing, but then it starts bouncing really fast and it smashes off the walls. And now it's flying around outside and doing all this shit. That can teach you so much about animation so quickly. That was how I like learned when I was little. Yeah. I never watched like I need to watch the 12 Principles like video, but I never watched that. I never watched tutorials. I watched when I was very young the Nickelodeon splash screen thing where they were like, I'm gonna teach you how to animate a bouncing ball. He pulls out a little notepad. He draws it on the notepad, flips it through, and I went, oh my god! And then I got a notepad, did it myself, just kept doing that over and over.
Dude.
If I ever was like on a website that had animation, I would just do that, and now I can animate.
I don't know about you, Tom, but those Nick like little like segments are probably like the first like inklings of me being like, wait, hold on. People make these cartoons? Wait, hold on. I
Oh
can make
yeah,
these
I
cartoons?
remember there was the one where they're like, "This is how to draw Cosmo from Fairly Odd Parents." That
Mm-hmm.
was really good.
The Plankton one's really good too because Plankton's just like a nice, simple character to draw because he's basically like a little
Yeah.
pill, and like they make it. Not only do they make it like intuitive and like easy to draw along, it's like, dude, they made it funny too, and it's like it was like the TikToks of their time where it's like, this is how you draw Plankton, and it's like, okay, a little smash cut here, there, some comedy, you drawing Plankton, and it's like, damn, I'm fucking hooked.
Was
It's
it? I
great.
see. The only one I vividly remember is the bouncing ball one, and that was literally just him in the room going, "This is how you animate a bouncing ball," and he just
Hmm.
animated it. It was
Yeah,
very like basic,
I think they kind of
which I
jazzed him
think
up
was
as a
good because
yeah.
I think that angle is good because it respects the viewer. It's just I'm going to teach you how to do something cool and artistic
Hmm.
while you're watching like Avatar or something.
Oh yeah, it's just like it's like light years ahead of like what we have now, where it's like I'll say this much: modern stuff is pretty fucking good. We've gotten really good, and now it's just like it feels like there's a massive ceiling for a lot of people starting out, where it's like, this is just fucking impossible. How the hell am I supposed to be able to draw like this person or that person? And it's like, well, you don't have to. Because for
Yeah,
you and me, Tom, back in the day, the only people we had to like look up to as far as like how to draw better were like internet celebrities and like American cartoons. And all of those are like the most simplest, like basic shit. Like if we're talking like fucking, it's just like the best example I can show is like fucking Oni and G. Everybody looks up to him because he like Let's Plays now or whatever. But he before then he animated like everyone else on Newgrounds. Same with like Egoraptor and all those
I mean, I to
classic
be
men.
honest, I think
And
that a
they're
lot of people I think a lot of people who look up to him for his art. People who just think he's funny just know him for his Let's Plays.
Mhm,
But people who are like actively like, this guy is really cool, it's because they know that he makes like music and like
mhm.
3D shit and things like that. And that's not even what he got famous for in the first place. It's
Yeah.
just what he does now because he has
Uh,
so many fucking talents.
And yeah, and to add on to that, me and you and I think a lot of people in the early internet days have like this good like grounded expectation of how things progress because we get to see these people like change over a lifetime, like seeing like crude Oni drawings and now
Hmm.
him working in like 3D blender. It's like, not only is it like, because we know for a fact this shit doesn't happen in like a fucking day. It takes like 10 years before you can go from, oh yeah, I'm just gonna draw like a cool parody of like Gangster's Paradise, and now look at me now. I'm in Blender. I'm making video games and shit. And it's like, that takes time. That takes dedication. And not only that, those rare people like Oni and like everyone on Newgrounds who was able to make money doing those crude drawings, they got a leg up that not a lot of people get, which is like being first to the scene. Where it's like,
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to make money doing this, but I'm going to go out on a limb and do it, not for the money, but because I want to do it. And then, even
Oh
then,
yeah, all those early internet guys were just posting shit that they were happened to be making.
hmm and even then now, it's like the well always dries up, especially with how like volatile like the internet is. It's just because like, one thing's popular for a year and then the next time it's just gone. And that's just what happens. That's the medium we work in, which is like the attention span of a fucking raisin. You gotta really keep up with the times if you want to make money off of people using the internet. uh yeah, it's just the way it goes. But if you just make art for fun, it's way easier and less stressful.
I'll also say learning to use, maybe even if not intentionally using reference, just finding good inspirations early is very good.
Hmm. Like
Because
you, Tom,
when I was really starting to get, thank you,
you're my
when I was
inspiration.
really starting to draw, I think that the artists I used most as inspiration were like, they were like Twitter artists, like
Hmm.
Doxy. I don't know if you've ever seen Doxy, but they're just like this incredible porn artist that does like the most like nice bodies, but also what's good about them is that they're bodies that you can very easily see the way they're constructed. Like they're very, very like built up out of shapes. So you can just be like, oh, I can see exactly how they drew this. It's like this curve goes here, this curve goes there, and then they just do this, this, and this. And they have like their body. And a lot of the time you can like see their sketch lines and stuff because they just don't erase it. I had very good like mentors in that way that I based my shit on. And like, as for like the safe for work stuff, you know, Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, things like that was a lot of my inspiration.
Because those were your formative years, like me.
It's good to have, yeah.
It is good to have like good inspiration. And when I say, I didn't mean it in jest, I meant it sincerely. It's hard to tell from the tone of my voice, but when I say someone like Tom, I get very inspired by artists like Tom and just like people I'm able to talk to or just like really relate to, because it comes from a place of like understanding from like just like not only from like they love making art, but the background of this person who loves making art is so similar to me that it's like, well, yeah, we can all do this. Anyone can do this. If fucking Joe Schmo who lays concrete can make art, in fact, in my eyes, he already does make art, because laying concrete and making it look nice and smooth and just like all those people that do crazy like cuts and shit and make it look nice and pretty like it's fucking Roman Empire times, that's breathtaking and that's art. And so the next person we're gonna have on is gonna be a lady,
Joe Schmo,
Joe Schmo, the lady bricklayer. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's you can find inspiration everywhere, and Tom's my inspiration, and that's why this podcast has started, because we get inspired. That's not the name of the podcast.
The name of the podcast is We Get Inspired.
No. That is a good fucking name, Tom, but we're not using it.
We're already selling merch. The t-shirts are out, and they're in circulation.
I'm gonna have to cut all of this. So unprofessional.
Now we're being sued. Yeah, man, our career is growing so fast.
I know, right? Just a blink of an eye.
That's something that's always been so funny to me. It's such a niche specific joke, but the idea of someone like starting some kind of business or project and immediately being swamped and inundated with fucking like legal threats and like being in court every single day. It's so funny to me.
That's what happened with Newgrounds. That's exactly what happened with Newgrounds. It was very slow at the very beginning, but like the moment you gave freedom to people to like upload anything and they would steal content and then upload it to Newgrounds because they were little shits, it bled like entire like destruction onto Newgrounds until like those weird laws got passed into place. And then even then, I'll say this much: Tom Full, the creator of Newgrounds, for those not in the know, went out of his way on multiple occasions to help people who uploaded, infringing material and paid for the rights to use stuff as well as the legal fees, so that artists could do what they needed to do.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why he's an inspiration, even though you hate his website, Tom.
I don't hate his website. I just think it needs to be fixed.
Yeah, you needs like TikTok loops. That's what you said. It's not too hip. It's not cool. You need to be able to see, what is it you do on TikTok? You need to be able to duet sing. Remember that?
You need to be able to like smash your cock with a hammer and upload it as educational content.
That is true. You do need to do that. It is good for the masses. This is going to be uploaded on YouTube as educational content because it is educational, first off.
It will be on YouTube Kids.
It won't be on YouTube Kids, but it will be on YouTube Babies, which is the new YouTube site for babies. It mainly has jingling keys on there.
That's where they're bringing back Smosh.
Yeah, and Smosh Babies and like, cool other original ideas like Smosh cartoons.
Did you hear about how they're bringing back Smosh?
What do you mean? It's
or
been
at least
there.
They said they were. No, it hasn't. Like it was like owned by some fucking company.
Oh well,
and they,
yeah.
Bought it. They bought it back.
Yeah, that's old news, Tom. That's old hat. Everyone's talked about that.
That was only like a couple months ago, I think.
Yeah, old
but
news.
I don't know if they've done anything with it.
Tom, I have
Because they're like, well, we
fiber.
have Smosh back, but Smosh doesn't work anymore, so, like, who
Yeah,
cares?
I have fiber internet. I see Smosh all the time now. It just gets beamed into my eyes. I know what's happening with the two Smosh people and their names specifically.
All I know about any of the people involved with Smosh is that the one guy does a like relatively successful podcast now.
Ian Hecox, is that the one? Or is
I
that
think
the other
so.
one? I can
I
never tell
don't
them apart.
remember.
They're both white.
The other guy's like Asian or something.
What? No. They're
Talking
Americans.
about
They eat donuts.
they're married.
They're married. Yeah, finally.
They eat
And
jelly donuts.
they went through that weird divorce thing, and then they're back together again. That was crazy. It's crazy that Smosh was broken up and now they're back together like it's a fucking boy band. It just happens. It just works. Well, I think this is a pretty good first episode, Tom. What do you think?